Hey, DDTHJ here, and welcome to RLBot Start-To-Finish Episode 1. In this series, we'll be making a bot using Python to play Rocket League from scratch. In this first episode, we'll be covering RLBot basics and our bot design. Okay, so yeah, as you know, we're going to cover today Introduction to RLBot and Bot Design. So, assuming that you've already downloaded and followed the setup guide for RLBot Python example, we're just going to jump right into that. I already have the files here, and in fact, here's the files. So we've got run GUI.bat, run config file, Python example. You won't have this folder, but we're going to quickly make that this episode. And hopefully you've got Rocket League. I'm going to go ahead and run the run GUI.bat. If you don't have the current Rocket League version, or this is the first time you've run this, it'll take a little bit longer to start up, so don't worry about that. Yeah, here's the GUI, and for the most part, in fact, for all parts, I think we're just going to use the GUI for this entire series. You can use the run.bat with the config file by itself, but I mean, this is the config file in a very easy to manipulate format. So I think we're going to stick with this the whole series. So when you first run this, you'll probably have Python example bot. Match length will probably be unlimited because, I don't know, they thought that was a good default. And of course, you're going to have different presets over here. So I'm going to go ahead and explain all of this. The CFG path file is where this RLBot.cfg is. And we'll take a quick look inside of here. Again, this is just all the data that's in the GUI except messier. Yeah, we're not going to deal with run or RLBot, so we're just going to deal with the GUI because the GUI is nice. What I've done here, I've actually copied the Python _example folder, renamed it to Gosling, because that's going to be the name of my bot, according to popular vote. And I've gone in, and everything that said Python _example, I've renamed to Gosling. So this used to be Python example.py, renamed to Gosling.py, Gosling.cfg, added that with Notepad++. There's a couple things in here that need to be changed. Appearance is fine. There's nothing in appearance that actually needs to be changed, so that's all good. And then once we're in here, there's a little bit of setup. Python example bot, we change to human because we want to play against our bot. Just for the purposes of the series, we'll mostly be playing against our bot. And it's not really us playing against it, more as us just, we need to be in the game and push ball around and test stuff. On orange team, we're going to have our RLBot. I've already set the name. The appearance will, I guess this will just be it. What you do is you click on these dots, you can click load, and then find your appearance folder, and bada bing, bada boom, there's a new appearance folder. Close this, and you can select whichever one you want. So this is the appearance 0 is my Gosling /appearance, so we'll use that one. And then agent preset is the same thing. Normally it'll be Python example, and you won't have another one in here. You don't click new, you click load. You'd click load, you'd find your config file, and you'd click open. I've already have this one, so we're just going to use this one. And once it's in here, you can close this, and then come to agent preset and select it. And of course, these boxes just let you confirm that, I thought it was like, this isn't Gosling. You can come in here and make sure, okay, this is the right file path and the right names, and that's all cool. So when we have this selected, everything's going to be good. Go ahead and run this. And sometimes there's a countdown on the first run of the DL, there's a countdown. Yeah, so I'm playing as the blue car here, and our new bot, or soon to be new bot, is playing as Gosling. And of course, this is just the Python example bot code right now that's running. That's why it's just going towards the ball. We usually call that ATBA, or always towards ball agent. And yeah, so that all works. Don't need to play against an ATBA all day. So, I mean, that's set up. Now, when you're doing this, when you create your folder for your bot, don't delete the Python_example folder because that might cause the GUI to crash. So don't do it. The reason is because it saves the file paths in the agent presets. So it'll be like, oh, where's this file? It's not there anymore. So yeah, don't delete this. Just make a copy of it and then paste it, rename everything to your new bot name. And that'll be good. In the next episode, we'll actually start diving into this code. This is what it looks like right now. Let me just declutter the screen real quick for you. I'll be using a combination, well, for the beginning, I'll be using idle, which is the default Python editor. But as we get into things, we're going to switch over to PyCharm just because it catches all my spelling mistakes. It's a useful tool. Anyways, this is what the inside of the bot looks like. We have a function here, a method called getOutput, and this is what's called about 60 times a second. So this is where our main code is going to start executing from. They have a vector2 class in here. Python doesn't have at least useful built-in vectors from what I'm aware of. But again, we'll jump into that later. Just here's a brief overview. We've got a class, Python example. This class name can be anything. I think actually I'll just change it to Gosling. And when we run RLBot, it's gonna search for gosling.py or whatever your file is, and it'll find the first class that extends base agent, so that it has the word base agent in here. And this is it. So it'll be like, okay, this is the bot right here. So with that out of the way, hopefully you can figure that stuff out. I'll link the setup tutorial in the description, and then the rest is just copying the folder, renaming the files. Let's go over to bot design. We're going to look at high-level bot design to start with, and then we're going to cover our bot design, and then that'll be it for this video. So, high-level bot design, what goes on in a bot? 60 times per second, we're receiving something called a game tick packet, or less depending on how slow your bot is to execute. The game tick packet is chock full of everything that's going on in the game. So the position, velocity, and rotation of every single car, same information of that for the ball, boost information, you name it, it's in there. Time, score, all that stuff. Everybody receives a game tick packet. We then process that packet and we return a controller output. Controller output is just what the positions of the controller would be if we were using a controller instead of code. So, you know, 1 to go forward, -1 to go backwards, that kind of stuff. That's how everything works. We're going to get into our design now. So this is the structure that we're going to be using for this tutorial series. You can see we're still receiving a game tick packet and we're returning an output. Every bot's going to do that. There's a little bit of different stuff going on in the middle here. The first step, what we're doing is pre-processing the game tick packet. What this means is we're just going to create new variables and restructure the game tick packet so that we're not just working with a raw game tick packet the whole way through all of our calculations. Now, we're going to have a multi-state bot. What this means is that our bot's going to be able to execute multiple different behaviors given different situations. So, you know, it'll be pretty easy to work some strategy into this. Now, there's also single-state hard-coded bots. Single-state bots have a single state, a single behavior, like ATBA, always goes towards the ball. The reason we are using a multi-state, or actually, the reason people use single-state is because it's easy to program and a ball-chasing strategy is actually pretty effective. So there's that. The reason we've done multi-state is because I want to provide you with a foundation to incorporate strategy. I think the next competitions that we are going into are going to be heavily strategy-based, especially with 2v2 random pairing divisions. So, multi-state bot. We need a way to change states. And my design solution that we're going to be using for this series is a self-expiring state system. Now these are just words I'm coming up on the fly with, so bear with me. In the system, the state, let's say we have a shot taking state, so we're a behavior. So we've taken a shot. Now we're no longer in a position to take a shot because we just took one. So the state is going to recognize that it's no longer in a useful position and it's going to self-expire. The next time this code runs through, when we get to this kind of middle triangle step here, we're going to say, do we have an active state? No, it's expired. So we'll choose the next appropriate state. So regardless of whether or not we've chosen a new state or we're going off of a current active state, the state's going to calculate with our preprocessed data. When the state is calculating, it's choosing a target location and a target speed. So it'll basically just figure out, where does the car need to go and how fast does it need to go to get there. It's going to feed this information into a controller. The controller is going to turn that target location and the target speed into controller outputs so that the bot can actually achieve that target location and target speed. So choose a controller executes, and what the controller produces is something we can directly output. You might be wondering why I have a controller chosen step in here instead of just a controller executes. The reason is because we're going to have multiple controllers. Each controller will have the same end goal, reach the target location, reach the target speed, but they're going to have different ways of doing it. One controller might be focusing on aerials, so it'll try to go for an aerial. One might be trying to conserve boost, one might be trying to go backwards, stuff like that. The state will also be in charge of choosing which controller to use to make the output. So that covers the design of our bot and just kind of the design of how Rocket League bots work in general. I don't have anything else for this episode, but we can take a quick look at my older bots because they also were multi-state bots. This is the state planning for, I think this is Muffin Man. So Muffin Man had a few states. State 0 was just hit the ball. And I mean, there's some gibberish in here, but it basically says that if we can get to the ball before the opponent, then we'll line up for a goal shot. Otherwise, we're just going to hit the ball. We've got a couple other states. Scope is just stay near the ball, but don't overextend. Stall ball, which is probably my most favorite state, was just getting the ball off to the side of the field so that, it's harder for the opponent to score if they get possession of it. Defend is probably why I didn't get first place, because this, instead of actually defending, this made Muffin Man drive into the middle of the field. So I actually did quite the opposite of defending. And state 4, I actually never programmed. So I just ran out of time. But the point is that despite not finishing my state system, I still had enough states to build a strategy to build a working bot. So even if you start with one state on this foundation that we're going to create, it'll still work. And the more you add to it, the more you're going to get out of it. That's why I've decided to go with this design. Hopefully you agree with me. And let's get ready to have an awesome series.